Good evening. Welcome. Wow, what a wonderful crowd. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I know some of you were here, not here, but with us last week, obviously because your children are part of this, but I know there's many new faces here as well, and you're in for a treat tonight. Welcome to the Once Upon a Generation program. I am Karen Chase.
Oh, I mean,
And we are delighted to be here. This is our 9th year helping to capture the amazing stories and lives of our incredible seniors, or what we like to refer to as those enriched by age. So thank you so much for sharing your stories tonight. We are definitely enriched by your community.
Before we begin, Karen and I would like to thank the Lakeville Library, thank you Lakeville Library, for opening the doors to us once again. Their support is greatly appreciated. Also to the Freetown Cultural Council, who sponsored this program this year.
A little background for those of you who are new here tonight and unfamiliar with the program. All of these students were once upon a time in my storytelling troupe at the George R. Austin Intermediate School. Some of them are there now, some have moved on to the middle school, some high school, and we even have 2 returning students who are just finished their first year of college. So 9 years ago, Andrea and I decided to try something new and to use personal stories, because at Gray's we use folk tales and fairy tales, but this is personal stories, personal narrative, and to connect my storytelling students with local senior citizens.
Tonight is the culmination of both the students' and seniors' hard work, which began in, believe it or not, February. All that time ago, bringing these remarkable stories to life. Karen and I believe that sharing stories builds bridges between the generations, and it has been our pleasure to watch these respect and admiration for each of as they grow. These stories of people, and don't forget in the back right there, Winston's Museum, and I think Glenn brought something, did you, with the magazines? Yep. And is anybody else bring something? Oh, Al brought some artifacts back there, so take a look.
And Inez?
Oh, Inez, you did? Did you bring a car?
Flat tire?
So,
Excuse me, Andrea, if you could speak a little louder, okay?
oh my goodness, can I copy that for my husband? Tone it down, he always says to me. Yes, I can. Is that better?
Yes, that's good.
Well, you know what, I'm gonna have to raise this, I think. I'm not as short as I look. All right. Oh, that's because that. And what sign up sheet for future people to join us next year is down the back too. Please sign up if you would like to. We have a few people that have mentioned they would like to come again or come next year, so that is right in the back. We'd love to have you. So now I'm here.
Yes.
We're going to start with the stories. I am here. You are there. You're not there. All right. Aria and Shania and Janice's story. So the very first time I heard Aria and Shania tell a story, I knew they were something special, which is so true. Their connection as close friends shines through in a way they seamlessly bring the story to life. They are always in perfect sync, which is true. You always are in perfect sync. You look at them tonight. They dress alike. Outside of storytelling, we found that they both like to dance. I think that may help with their fantastic gestures and their stories. They will be sharing Janice's story over here, and Janice, of growing up in rural Freetown and some lessons learned. This will be Janice's first year with us. She said her daughters, Rebecca and Jennifer, and her grandchildren, Devin, Ashley, and Tara, have encouraged her to share stories about her childhood in Freetown. This seems like the perfect opportunity, doesn't it? So let's welcome our first storytellers. Oh, I might have messed you up with you. I'm so tall. Come on over. Too high? Too high. How about that? Okay, all right, good. Next year, you gotta be over my head.
Hi, I'm Aria Pereira. And I'm Shania Picard. And we're going to be telling the story of Pine Trees, Apologies, and Forgiveness by Janice. I could smell the pine grove from miles away, and I knew that growing up in Freetown was the best gift I could ever receive. I loved growing up with my cousins, and the smell from the local bakery made my stomach grumble. I was the oldest, and I would take my cousins to our play area, the Pine Grove. They didn't like all the birds flying around, the wild plants, and the strong scent of the pine trees, which frightened them. And when I mentioned climbing the trees, they freaked out. But they soon got used to playing in the pine grove, but they would never climb the trees. Whenever we were in the pine grove, we would jump in pine needles, have pine cone fights. But the pine grove was overwhelming at times, because it smelled a little bit like Pine Sol cleaning solution, and I always got this stucky substance called pitch stuck all over my fingers and clothes. One day, me and my cousins thought it would be fun to strip the bark off of a pine tree. We found a tree that was about 5 feet tall with the soft, dark green bark, and we took a stone and scraped it down the pine tree, and all the sticky sap began to ooze out. And then finally, I carved my initials into the tree. It was so satisfying until I heard, "Are you having fun?" "Yes," I said. I turned around and saw my father standing there. I didn't think I did anything wrong, but from that tone of voice, I did not think that anymore. "I am very disappointed in you. You have hurt this tree and now it might die. This tree is home to insects and animals, and this is Mr. Grimshaw's property. You owe him a big apology." The thing is that I never really met Mr. Grimshaw. I just saw him from afar because he was the owner of Stillwater's Fasteners down the street. He always let kids roller skate and visit his horses. And he was a very formal guy. He always wore a button-down shirt, some nice dress pants, and nice dress shoes with a nice bow tie. But he was known for his kindness and generosity. The land between me and Mr. Grimshaw's house was used for growing hay. When the grass was tall, we'd look for green garden snakes and fireflies. And when the grass was short and mowed, we'd play baseball and football. I think he noticed that we liked it that way, so we always kept it mowed and ready. One day, while we were playing baseball, my cousin got hit in the eye with a baseball and was rushed to the hospital immediately. Mr. Grimshaw must have saw this because he provided him with all the equipment a catcher would need. But that day, as I was walking up to his perfectly landscaped home, which looked like a mansion to me, I didn't know if I would see any of that kindness. His friend Irene opened the door and led us to the living room. I was so nervous, but when I got there, Mr. Grimshaw smiled, shook my hand, and then I felt way less nervous. I told him all about how I was so sorry about hurting his tree, and he just gave me a warm smile and thanked me for telling the truth. And he thanked me once again. When I was the walk home was silent. Enough had already been said, but I had to go to and from school, and no more playing in the pine grove for me. Now I know about taking responsibility and taking care of Mother Nature. And now I only cut down trees around Christmas time. The end.
Always a perfect job, ladies. Thank you so much. Janice, loving it?
Loved it. Thank you so much. I brought me back 7 years ago.
And I love that it's a local story, so thank you for that. Our next story tonight is shared by Glenn DeManch. Glenn is new to the program this year, and he chose this story because this historical event brought the country together, and he wanted people to comprehend how it was experienced as a high school senior. He hopes to bring this important part of history alive tonight. Sharing Glenn's story is Olivia Burkett and Lexi True. This is their first tandem telling experience, and they have worked so seamlessly together. Olivia is a 5th grade student at Grays, and she is brand new to the program this year. Her favorite part of this program is the memories we have made together, and she loves how sentimental Glenn's story is. Lexi has been with us since 2017, and it is always a joy to have her with us. She loves that this story is centered around a major historical event and enjoyed the connections between her school studies this year and the first-hand experience of someone who was the same age as she is now. Please welcome Olivia Burkett and Lexi True.
November 22nd, 1963.
The day the innocents died.
You could have heard a pin drop in that room.
The class was shocked and stunned into silence by the unexpected crackle of the intercom.
My day started just like any other for a high school senior who was naive and innocent. It was a crisp, sunny, late November day filled with the promise of school break and the annual Thanksgiving Day football game. I sat in our small pink kitchen with the Formica table and the pole lamp and ate breakfast. President Kennedy's words drifted over from the TVs.
Let's keep him going.
He said, pardoning a turkey with his words.
My sister's school day started later than mine, so I ate breakfast first. Her school day was different from mine. Not only did she have to walk to school, walk back for lunch, but walk back for the afternoon session. I didn't have a care in the world that morning. My only worry was that I missed the bus because I couldn't find my slide rule. So I yelled from the doorway,
Dad, have you seen my slide rule? I don't want to miss the bus. I hurried past the mixture of 2 tenements and cottages, and the phone booth where I'd ventured out last night to call my girlfriend put a smile on my face. Steep, bumpy Park Avenue, which the city would close during the winter to let kids use for sledding, was the last street I needed to cross on my way to the bus stop. But the scent of fresh donuts wafted through the air. Ooh, I think it's time for a detour.
I knew I could get a day-old donut from the back of Norman's donut shop. But with my detour complete, I had to hustle. The city did not provide free school buses which would take me to downtown New Bedford. So I climbed up the stairway, had my bus card punched, and then sauntered down the stale-smelling aisle to the back to meet my friends.
The bus dropped us off at the foot of William Street, right by the peanut man. We trudged in groups by the library's famous Whaleman statue and City Hall until we finally reached the hauntingly steep granite steps of New Bedford High School. But I didn't have to worry about those stairs because students weren't allowed to use the front door. We had to use side entrances. Once inside, I went up the right staircase. The right staircase was used to go up, and the left staircase was used to go down. I settled in for a normal day of classes until 7th period physics.
7th period physics was like any ordinary high school classroom, with wooden lab tables surrounded by four wooden stools. The class had a substitute that day, Mr. Rice, the kind of substitute that seemed to have no clue. Me and a couple of classmates thought it would be funny to tape a box Rice Krispies out the back window. But in the middle of the prank, the class was shocked and stunned into silence by the unexpected intercom announcement by the principal.
I sat like a zombie as I tried to absorb the news. President Kennedy had been shot in Dallas, Texas. This was the young, energetic family man from our state, Massachusetts, who told us during his inaugural address,
Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
this was the man who had created the Peace Corps, the man who had saved our country from the Cuban Missile Crisis. Why would anyone shoot him? Was he injured or had he been killed? These questions raced through my head, and anxiety over the news made my mouth dry and my head throb.
Without knowing what else to I was on the football team, and without knowing what else to do, me and my teammates walked the half mile to Sergeant's Field. I slept rough through practice today, and then thought,
What am I even doing here?
it wasn't until the end of practice that I knew President Kennedy had died.
Although still numb 2 days later, I watched live on TV as Kennedy's accused assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, was shot and killed by Jack Ruby while in police custody. I shouted at the TV,
Did that man just shoot Oswald?
President Kennedy's funeral was televised everywhere, but it was all a blur to me. How quickly innocence can change. My view on the United States and the world changed that day. I had not yet lived through the Civil Rights Movement, the Vietnam War, the assassinations of Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King Jr., or Robert F. Kennedy, Watergate, gas shortages, the Iran hostage crisis, 9/11, or January 6th, but my innocence had already died on that sunny November day.
Even though I thought the assassination of President Kennedy was the end of the world, time let me move on.
Maturity taught me that even when things seem to be at their worst, you can still find life and joy in the world. Innocence can be reborn.
What do you think, Glenn?
You do it better every time.
Don't they? You did an excellent job. I'm going to just put that up a little bit. So our next storyteller is Nora, and she's telling this story for Inez. And like I say, you'll hear this story. You're lucky she stopped by for a long drive. She loves driving. You'll find out in the story. So Nora will always hold a special place in my heart because she would often arrive early before the programs began. She and I began to talk, and I got to find out a little bit about her more than just when we had the story and the storytelling. And I found out she had a passion for hockey, which I love, and she also took that passion and has now put it into rowing. I was looking for you, I was like, where is she? And I love that too. Each year, your storytelling skills grow stronger and stronger and more captivating. Bravo, Nora. And I think this year is one of your best, honestly. And Inez, she's new to us this year as well. And her story is about a very long drive. We welcome her and her stories. And her sister, I don't know if you knew that, if you haven't come last week, her sister, she's sitting right next to us, Janice, who you just heard the story. And we have one more in that family sitting right next to him is Al. We were lucky to have this whole family come to us. So, as I said, Inez loves to travel, so who knows where the next stories will take us. Please come on up, Nora.
Have you ever driven over 10,000 miles to the Arctic Circle? Well, I have. It was 2011 and I asked my husband Bob, can we drive to Alaska? Absolutely, he responded. I was like a kid in the candy store. I wanted to leave right then. The next morning we packed our bags and were on our way. While driving, me and my husband Bob decided to take a detour through the Yukon Territory and drive to the Arctic Circle. But there was one obstacle, the Dempster Highway. The Dempster Highway was 450 miles of dirt road, nothing but one gas station and one restaurant. I was pretty nervous because what if something happened? Like, what if there was a bear? But we continued on anyways. The drive went by super fast. 3 miles, then 2 miles, then 1 mile, and we were there. I got out of the car and stretched. Ooh, I needed that stretch. It was a pretty long drive and I was pretty tense. But when I got out of the car, I realized nobody else was there. Nobody I could tell about my trip all the way from Massachusetts to the Arctic Circle. We soon left because I was pretty disappointed not without exploring the scenery first, of course, and got back in the car. Our next stop was to the town of Inuvik, population 3,000. When we arrived, we saw these huskies pulling an ATV. I had no clue what was happening. So I asked one of the locals. They're training for the Iditarod, one of them said. I thought that was pretty cool. Me and Bob continued looking around the town, and soon we were pretty hungry, so we went to American Legion Hall. When we walked in, we didn't see much. It was a very dimly lit bar, but when we walked in even further, we saw there were over 20 people. They didn't serve food, but the locals invited us to sit down and have a drink with them. When we told them we drove all the way from Massachusetts, their eyes were open wide and their jaws dropped in shock. Massachusetts, one of them said. Isn't that like 7,000 miles? 10,000 actually, I corrected. We soon got our drinks and We heard a bell ring. What was that? Nobody answered me. There was an entire free round of drinks that somebody had bought for us, and it was brought out. Then, a couple minutes later, somebody came up to Bob and whispered, "Don't leave yet." I was a little apprehensive, but I stayed. We heard that familiar bell sound, and yet another free round of drinks was brought out for us. This goes to show the kindness in the town of Inuvik. We continued back down the Dempster Highway, and I knew something was going to happen because we had a flat tire. So me and Bob got out of the car, and we started changing our tire. "What's that crunching noise?" Bob said. I turned behind me. It was a bear. We backed off slowly to not spook it. We must have waited in the car for 30 minutes until we knew the bear was gone. Getting out of the car, we made sure to check for bears, of course. We finished putting on our tire, and we're on our way back down the Dempster Highway. We took a picture of the Dempster Highway sign, and with our luck, there was yet another flat tire. This time, we didn't have a spare. So, luckily the gas station wasn't too far away. When we walked in, we didn't have very high hopes. We were on the Dempster Highway. All the cars were big trucks or vehicles, but luckily they had one more tire in our sides. Phew. So we grabbed our tire, checked for bears, and started changing our tire. We continued back down the Dempster Highway, making it to Dawson City. Dawson City is an old gold rush town, and when we arrived, we saw there was an international outhouse contest happening. I had never heard of one before, but we checked it out, and my favorite one was the one with flowers, but Bob didn't agree with me. He liked the one that was dressed like Superman or decorated like Superman. There were so many creative ones, but what we did agree on was 3 judges. The 3 judges had hard hats on, nose plugs, and masks on their faces. Life is an adventure for Bob, as he never knows where our next destination will be. 10,000 miles on our car, on the road again.
I agree, Nora. Every year, your talent just gets better and better, and thank you so much. What you think, Inez? Yeah, I love that. Well, our next story comes from the amazing life of Winston Lightford. Winston has been with us from the very beginning in 2016, and every year at the end, he says, "I don't know what I'm going to tell next year." And every year he comes to the first workshop with the seniors with his story already written. Oh, we love that. We love that, Winston. He believes that expressing strong emotions with the students, like joy, humor, and sadness through story, is incredibly valuable. Winston adds, "I would never have volunteered for their job today." Sharon Winston's story is Ben Avila and Keegan Baker with us for their 2nd year. They have so much fun together, and it really shows and shines through. Ben's favorite thing, he told me, is playing the violin, and he also practices karate. He enjoys working with Keegan, making the story their own, and appreciates that this story he's telling this year is about someone serving in the military. And Keegan shares that he loved learning how to tell stories better and create emotional connections with them. He enjoys spending time with his 4 cats, likes singing, and is an aspiring rap music artist. And Andrea and I got to hear, some of that one time after class. He's very good. So I suggest you get his autograph now, because he's going places. Please welcome Ben Avila and Keegan Baker. They're froze.
My eyes popped open to the muzzles of M1 rifles. Sharks? No one told me about sharks. I had heard on the intercom before.
Now hear this, now hear this. Swim call off the aft deck. I immediately jumped off. I did it purely for bragging rights, to go home and say, guess what I did? I jumped off a ship into 3 mile deep waters.
But in the moment, as I was going down, I thought, are you crazy? I was terrified. I was descending forever, 1,200 miles to the closest landmass. My whole life was passing into eternity. But the salt-dense Atlantic Ocean finally grabbed me under its surface and spit me up like I was a toy balloon.
My eyes popped open to the muzzle of M1 rifles. Sharks? No one told me about sharks. A lifeboat, manned by several sailors, were ready to fend off sharks at swim call.
The spur of the moment, the jump, and my brief swim had turned out to be an exhausting hour. The white Coast Guard cutter was like Mount Everest piercing the sky with its giant mast, and I a mere speck looking up.
The ship rolling and pitching back and forth. I yelled over the roar of the ocean, are you kidding me? How do I grab the net?
How do I hold the net?
How do I climb the net? All at the same time.
I hesitated so long watching the others struggle with the wet, slimy net that my deck officer, Gleason, started yelling, move it, Lifer! And I kept yelling, grab the net. With all my strength, I lunged for the first slippery rope.
He missed, didn't he?
Wait. He did, he made it.
I did it. I grabbed onto the net with all my might. It felt like grabbing grace, each step more intense than the last. I soon flopped onto the deck like a dying fish that had just fought for its life.
Move it, Lyford.
That guy never lets up.
You're gonna be late for quarters.
I made it to quarters just in time to be counted as present and not lost at sea.
Nevertheless, I justifiably achieved
Bragging rights.
This is a drill. Fire in the engine room.
A drill now. We all grabbed our sign gear and went to put out the imaginary fire.
After such an exhausting day, I fell sound asleep instantly. This is not a drill. All hands mend your battle stations. I was running for my life while adorning my battle gear to get to my station at the twin 44mm anti-aircraft gun. We had to get our battle gear on, get to station from a dead sleep in less than 90 seconds.
We had to be perfect and we had to be right.
I was in position and a ship identified as a Russian was headed straight towards us at a collision course. We signaled that our ship was 2,600 tons, dead in the water and impossible to move without collision. But the Russian ship never slackened their speed.
Over my phone, I heard the captain's jaw slamming down on his bottom lip to make a sound like this. Fire never came.
At the last second, the Russian ship veered off. That was 1965, during the cat and mouse games with Russia in the Cold War years.
Even now, 60 years later, chills still run down my spine. I was only 20 years old.
Whoa.
That was such a good job. You did amazing. Louder? Anyway, really amazing. How would you think?
I thought it was excellent. I appreciate that.
I know. I mean, I think they really got it with waking up and getting on. Now our next story is Al's story over here. You should hear Al. And Amelia and Delaney are going to be telling this story. And I love these two. They really worked diligently on Al's story, trying to get it right. I love how they complement each other's style and energy. We asked each of them to tell a little something about themselves. Amelia said she liked telling the story with Delaney and writing it together, and Delaney said what she liked about outside of storytelling is watching horror movies and singing, which, who knows, maybe that added a little drama to the story, I don't know. They will be doing tandem telling of this story, Al's story. And Al is new to the program this year, along with his cousins. He has lots and lots of stories packed away, as his family owned the general store in Freetown. The general store was so important to the everyday lives of the people of Freetown. We hope he will return next year with more stories from the store. Al said having the store and post office replicate the Freetown Historical Society means a lot to him. You can check out the replica of the store outside on the grounds of the Historical Society. Did anybody, who was here last week? Did you go and raise your hands? Oh, I know all of you. So there is on the front of the lawn, Sherrick's General Store, and I looked inside it, just maybe like it was then. Let's welcome to the stage Amelia and Delaney telling Al's story. Let me help you. I don't know. Let's figure it out together. There you are. You need one too. Not at all. Last week I pulled it right out of the stairs. Okay.
I felt the comforting hand of my grandfather as he guided me into the store that I called home. Did you remember the eggs? His face was right in front of mine as we walked into the busy and bustling store. Now remember, you just have to smile, be polite, help people, and listen to me. We shuffled to the back of the store and he went through the different receipts. He handed me one. This one is Mrs. Smith's. I ran all throughout the store grabbing sugar, flour, coffee, and pretty much anything you could ever need in your pantry. I ran back to him, suddenly feeling a burst of gratitude. How lucky was I to have a father figure like that? I handed him the bag, and we headed to Mrs. Smith's house.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Smith greeted us, welcoming us into her home, a bright, cheerful place covered in yellow wallpaper and flowers. Hello, Mrs. Smith, I replied. Then, remembering my grandfather's words, I asked, would you like help putting the groceries away? Oh, no, Mrs. Smith replied, her voice small and her eyes downcast. I just got this new stove and I can't read the directions. Would you help me?
She handed us the directions and we helped her put in her new stove. That's how it went most days. I would go to school, learn, then I'd go straight to the store to help my grandfather. But one day, however, was different. I was with my other grandfather. Though I didn't see him as much, his words made an impact on me.
Work hard, son. Don't smoke, don't drink. It costs too much money. Pay your bills and you'll be able to take care of yourself when you're older. You might have to help a family if they come upon hard times. See, that stayed with me. When we bought the new house and I toiled under the sun in the huge new garden, when I got my first job. Sometime after that, when my father became the postmaster, it was the same routine. I would go to school, I would learn, then I would go straight to the office to help my father. He always had jobs for me. He would say things like, go bring the neighbors some cupcakes, and I would. Soon, those neighbors weren't just customers, they were friends, even family. Those trips taught me responsibility.
In the end, it's really them that I have to thank for who I am today. They taught me respect, responsibility, and strength. Thank you so much, Dad and Grandpa.
What a fabulous job, ladies. Thank you. Al, what do you think?
Very good.
Very good. And he's a font of stories. I mean, he's a fixture in Freetown. So thank you for joining us this year, Alan. Thank you, ladies. Beautiful job. Our next story comes from Paul Lubin. This is Paul's first year with the program. I see him all the time. He's a fixture at the voting area, and every year he'd say, I think I might come this year, and this year he did, and I'm so excited. His story is one of resilience and how a significant and difficult experience changed the trajectory of his life. Paul shares shares it was great working with Kian and believes it is so important that the different generations understand each other. This is Kian's first year with our program, and we are delighted he decided to join us, considering how busy he is. He is a 6th grader and a Boy Scout, plays baseball, lacrosse, and is on a swim team, and won a big relay and a championship swim race. Kian was delighted that both he and Paul love baseball and enjoyed talking with him about the game together. During our storytelling practice time, Kian enjoyed playing the distraction game, which comes in handy sometimes. And he said he really liked it because we got to be very loud in the library, and it felt like we were breaking the rules a lot. I like that, Kian. Please welcome Kian O'Connor.
I had to stay in bed for the whole 3rd grade with my leg in a cast. Something bad happened to me. Before that, I loved running around and playing sports, especially baseball. One day while I was playing outside, I heard the Red Sox game on the radio. It was coming from a garbage truck. What a wonderful job, I thought. Riding around all day, listening to the game on the radio. If I could play in the big leagues, that was the job I wanted. When I was 7 years old, something bad happened to me. I got polio, a sickness that many kids got back then, but they don't get anymore because they take vaccines before school starts. For the whole 3rd grade, I had to stay in bed with my leg in a cast. A tutor came twice a week to give me lessons and homework and books to read. I read lots of interesting books that year. When I started going back to school again, I had to use crutches to walk. I had to walk half a mile through the park until I got to stop at a friend's house where he was waiting on the porch to invite me in. Come on in, Paul, let's rest up before we go. From there, we walked the rest of the way to school, and I had to sit near the window so I could put my crutches away. Going into the middle school, I didn't want to be on crutches. So I did lots of exercises and just walked a little funny without them. No one made fun of me. Many years later, after graduating from high school, I went to MIT and started to become a chemist, which I did. But I still walk funny.
Great job, Keith. What you think, Paul?
Great job.
You did do a great job. Now these next two probably don't need much of an introduction. But they are our newest college students.
Yes.
And welcome back, Kaya. And we have a new college student leaving, Lexi. We hope you all return. Last year we were skeptical when you said, we're going to come back. Can we do this? And we looked at each other, I don't know. But then we said, yeah, it's those two, they can do it. And they did. And we didn't even see this team do their story until right when we had the seniors come. And we were like, oh, what do you think? It was, wait, you'll see. And every year they tell Pat's story. Pat, where are you? There you are. And those three are a team. We would never separate them. Pat said from the very beginning, I absolutely, and you did, throw yourself into the program. Well, the feeling was mutual. As Boston had said, my favorite thing about this program is how Pat became sort of a grandfather to me. That's why we do this. And Austin said, I love getting to meet Pat, and we all clicked really well. Please welcome to the stage, Boston and Austin telling Pat's story.
my height. That's
You win.
Yeah, you did, yeah. Oh, okay.
They're good to go.
Yeah.
When they take the mic off the stand,
Oh,
you're
well,
just
do you want to like, switch them when holding it? Yeah.
Hi, my name's Boston Paquette,
I'm Austin Pelletier.
and we're telling Pat Cardine's story.
Beautiful places, special faces. It was going to be a beautiful weekend. We had just survived a 3-day nor'easter that swung up the East Coast, out to sea, and came back to drench the entire area in rain. It was going to be really special. That weekend, we were going to Martha's Vineyard, where we would not be staying in a 1-story hotel. We'd be staying in a 2-story motel. And now, if we're being honest, packing was a very big issue for us. Not for my lovely, lovely wife, Kathy. No, for me. You could describe me as a bit of an overpacker.
Pat, why are you bringing 12 pairs of socks? It's a 3-day trip.
What if I step in a puddle?
Well, what's the deal with the 8 pairs of shirts?
What if I fall in a puddle?
Pat, you're bringing 15 pairs of underwear.
What happens if I make a puddle?
Gross. Just gross.
Packing aside, once we got on the ferry, it was relatively smooth sailing from there. But, admittedly, we got a little distracted on the journey there, and we needed something to kind of take our minds off of the trip. That's where the dolphins came in. On the starboard side of the boat, we saw a school of dolphins swimming alongside with us. Kathy was amazed.
Pat, there's dolphins. I think they're trying to race the boat or something like that.
I don't think they know how to, like, the concept of racing, and even if they were, we'd win because we're in a boat and they're dolphins and they get tired and they need to slow down and rest, and we don't because we're in a boat and the boat isn't alive.
Yeah, I was just making a cute joke and you ruined it. I'm cold. Can you get me hot chocolate?
Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
At that point, I just had to get her a hot chocolate because what else are you gonna do? 2 hot chocolates, please.
Yes, sir. What size would you like?
Only your most chocolatiest, marshmallowiest, most scrumdiddly-umptious sizes you have, please.
Will a large be alright?
Okay.
Okay. Here you go. Here you go.
Thanks.
Yep.
So, after finishing our most chocolatiest, marshmallowiest, most scrumdiddly-umptious hot chocolates, we finally arrived on the island, and it was great. We arrived at that not 1-story, 2-story motel. We arrived, and we met the loveliest middle-aged woman we've ever come across.
Hi!
Hi.
You came to my not 1 but 2-story motel?
Yeah.
Okay, here are your keys. You guys are such, oh my god, you guys are such a cute couple. You guys are, oh, you're so cute. You're such a cute couple. You're staying in the room. It's the second door to the left at the top of the stairs, okay? If you need anything, I'm here at the desk. I'm here at the desk all day, all night, all morning. I never leave the desk. Come stop by.
Thank you, and I just want to say, you have a very beautiful place.
You like it?
Yeah.
You like my place?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here, take these brochures. They show you everything there is to do on the island. And stop by at the desk if you have time.
Okay.
Okay.
And that we did. We really got to see everything the island had to offer. First, we stopped in Aquina.
Whoa, look at that lighthouse, Pat.
Yes, dear. Then, of course, we had to go to Edgartown.
Wow, Pat, this is such a beautiful bike ride.
Yes, it is, dear. And of course, we had to go on the oldest carousel in the United States.
Well, Pat, this is really exhilarating.
Yes, dear. The trip really embodied the spirit of adventure that this great state had to offer. The worst part was that it had to end. So, of course, after packing up Kathy's and mostly my stuff, we finally arrived back to the ferry depot for our return trip home.
Hi, you're at the ferry depot. Do you want a return trip home?
Yeah, I would.
Awesome, great. 2 adults?
Yeah.
Oh, here's your tickets and oh my god. I wouldn't leave just yet.
Why?
Carly Simons, popular singer in the 90s, is sitting right behind you at that table.
Oh. So for those of you who don't know or didn't listen, Carly Simons, really popular singer in the 90s, of course. Doesn't have the clout of like someone like Neil Diamond, who I met, but I liked your music well enough. Kathy was starstruck.
Pat, we gotta get an autograph. We gotta talk to her. We gotta get an autograph. We gotta smell her. We gotta get an autograph or something.
Sorry, you say smell her?
No, I said we gotta get an autograph. Let's get an autograph. I'm gonna go talk to her. I'm gonna go.
I don't think.
Pat,
hang on. I think these celebrities are also people.
I'm gonna go talk to her.
Okay.
I'm gonna sneak up on her.
There's no arguing really with Kat. When she sets her mind out on something, she will do it.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, are you Carly Simons, popular singer in the 90s?
That's how people know me.
Hi, I'm Kathy, Pat's wife.
Who's Pat?
My husband.
And you're?
Kathy, Pat's wife.
Hi.
Hi, who's this? Who's this?
Oh, okay, so, focus on me, but this is my daughter.
Hi. You have a daughter?
Yeah.
I thought you were a singer.
And a mother.
You can do both.
Yes, I can.
You're amazing. Could you sign something for me?
Yeah.
I have a brochure.
Okay, do you have a pen?
Yeah, I always carry one.
Of course. Who do I make it out to?
Kathy and Pat.
Pat, who's Pat again?
My husband.
And your name?
Kathy. Pat's wife.
To Pat and
Kathy.
Kathy. From Carly Simon, famous singer.
Singer in the 90s, yeah. So, what are you and your daughter doing?
Oh, well, first of all, very personal question. And second of all, she's going back to Tabor this year.
Tabor?
Yeah, Tabor Academy.
Wow!
Thanks. For her abroad trip to Central America. Yes, I'm very proud.
That's great. Thanks
yeah.
for the autograph.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Of course, it was awfully uncomfortable. So we decided to just get on the ferry and leave Martha's Vineyard after that.
Pat, I can't believe we actually met a famous person, and I got her signature right here. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
And I can't believe her daughter's sitting right behind you.
Pat, I have to say something. Hi!
Hey again.
Do you remember me?
Yeah, you're Pat's wife.
Kathy.
Kathy.
Yes.
What are the chances?
Well, there's 150 seats on this boat, so I guess it's like 150 or something.
Get it? In order to not take up any more of her time, we decided to very discreetly move seats.
Let's leave.
We moved seats on the ferry. The rest of the trip home wasn't that eventful, but Kathy was really excited to have an autograph. First autograph she's ever gotten from a famous person. But the memories that we made on that trip will never, ever, ever kind of pale into comparison to just spending your entire life with this person, being in these beautiful places with special faces.
For those of you who are old enough to remember, our very own Laurel and Hardy. Thank you, guys. They came back, as we said, from college this year to work with Pat because that's how strong the connection is. What'd you think, Pat?
They ought to have their own sitcom.
I totally agree. Their own sitcom, podcast, whatever they need.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Our final story this evening. Let me take a breath after that performance. You guys must be so out of breath. I know I am just listening and watching. It was so good. We end tonight with a heartfelt story from Hank. This is Hank's first year taking part in our program. And Hank, had a difficult situation this year. And he was part of the program, and then because of certain things that happened, he was going to step back. And he kindly called me to explain why. And Andrea and I had seen something very special in his stories, and I told him I never did this before with any other senior, but I said, you have to stay. And we had a nice long conversation, and he said, okay, I'll stay. I was so delighted. And then a couple of weeks went by, and he called me again, and he said, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can finish. And I said, you have to stay. And again, we had another wonderful conversation, and we are so delighted you stayed, Hank. Thank you. I know it was a difficult year, and you are so appreciated. Thank you. And he shares that he is in awe of the peace, love, humor, and magic that happens as we go through this process together. The young ones are old souls, and the adults show that they are really big kids. Hank says he is honored to be a part of it, and we are honored you're here as well, Hank. Thank you. Now, sharing Hank's story is Cameron Poirier, who has been with this program since 2019. He is a very busy high school junior. He takes lots of advanced placement classes. He's into student government projects, and he also loves to play golf. He enjoys hearing all of the senior stories every year, especially this year, because he could tie some of the stories into his advanced placement history class. You have to understand, these three are trouble when they get together. We shouldn't have sat them together. When Andrea and I heard Hank's story, we knew Cameron would be the perfect person to tell it. We knew he would perform it with the care, heart, and warmth it deserved. Please welcome Cameron Poirier. Yeah, I think so. How was that for you? Is that good for you?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Hi, my name is Cameron Poirier, and I will be telling Hank's story, A Life Well Lived. Hello, my name is Henry. I am honored to be named after my uncle who served in the Army. My friends call me Hank. You never know when you're going to meet your friends for life. For me, my lifelong friendships began at Norfolk Agricultural High School in 1960. There, I met Bill, Jerry, and Paul. We quickly became friends, and we stayed close for the remainder of our lives. We would spend long hours at the family farm. We'd ride horseback around the neighborhood. When funds were tight, we would cut the hay in median strips and on the side of roads during hay season, leave it out to dry for a couple of days, and then scoop it up into a wagon. This was a cheap and effective way of ensuring that the animals stayed fed. I was also a fair Irish accordion player who would get paid for gigs, and this was another way that I could pay for more food for the animals. Additionally, when I finally got my license, we would go up to Maine and New Hampshire where we could buy a bale of hay for only 25 cents. What a steal! My high school pals were always there for me, but they always managed to stir up a little bit of mischief. One time, when I was a new driver, we decided to take a day trip up to Boston. Paul directed me down a tunnel, the wrong way. Why are all these people staring at me? I was trying to be heard over the laughter from the back seat. I was lucky to have not gotten a ticket that day. Another time, I was driving one of our horses, Willow, back from an agricultural fair when Bill thought it was a good idea to sneak up behind me in his purple Dodge and honk his horn. Willow was startled and kicked out the rear window of my car. I was not amused, and it's safe to say that Bill accompanied me to the junkyard and paid for the window replacements. Paul never seemed to understand why my brother Barry could only drive the lawnmower. Barry had some learning disabilities and he was partially deaf. I tried to explain this to Paul, but he never seemed to understand. One day, I was walking back from the barn and glanced up, and off into the distance, I saw a sight I wish I had never seen before. It appeared to me that Barry was learning how to drive. Paul was standing outside of the car, and Barry was in the driver's seat. I broke out into a sprint, but I was too late. By the time I had got there, Barry had thrown the car into reverse, slammed on the gas, skid across the road, and slammed into a tree. Fortunately, Barry was just fine, but the car was totaled. He hopped out of the car and said, "Well, that's the last time I ever do that." He proceeded to walk across the road down the hill and hop back on the lawnmower. All we could do was laugh. Paul absolutely adored Barry and had only wanted to help. When we were a little bit older, Paul and I decided to take half-hour lessons at the Greater Lawrence Airport for $6. We quickly began taking these lessons, and one day we stumbled upon a Piper Cub in Lakeview Park, and Paul talked to the pilot, and with that we were able to take off in the plane while the pilot sipped on his beer. When we got up into the air, the pilot was still sipping his beer, and he asked us, "So boys, how long have we been flying for?" "About an hour and a half." The pilot sat at attention and tossed his beer. It's safe to say that Paul did not land that plane. The years of high school went by faster than any of us could have ever imagined. One day we were riding horseback around the neighborhood, and the next, Bill and I were college roommates. Jerry was working full-time, and Paul was working full-time, and Jerry was off to Vietnam. We stayed in touch, and we stayed close for all this time by sending each other handwritten letters, the old-fashioned way. There were no text messages or emails back then. Pretty soon, Jerry was injured and sent home from Vietnam. Life continued to move on fast, and after my first year of college, I joined the Marines. They agreed to pay for my tuition when my enlistment was up, and I didn't want my parents to continue paying for my tuition while they still had 4 kids at the house. Besides, I wanted to serve my country. Pretty soon, I too was sent to Vietnam, and I was honored to serve under Officer Neil Gahn. Thanks to that man, I am standing here to this day. He saved my life 3 times, and it was an honor serving under him. Life went on, and pretty soon, Bill graduated from college and was drafted into the Army. He tragically passed in Vietnam. Paul became a photographer and engineer at MIT. Jerry became a firefighter and later a police officer. As for me, I met my beautiful wife Nancy, and we had 4 children. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. I am the last of my high school pals that still remains. One day, a couple weeks ago, I stumbled upon an old horse trail that we used to ride on. Upon looking down the trail, I saw 4 great horses carrying Paul, Jerry, Bill, and I. Although I am sad that I lost my high school buddies, I will always cherish the memories we had, and they'll have a place near and dear in my heart.